Hello, my name is Matthias Opitz, and I'm a representative of the Intelligence and Security Studies program at Bellevue University in Bellevue, Nebraska. Today I'll briefly be talking to you about my paper titled Governmental Corruption, a Global Dichotomy. Now, corruption has been around since the beginning of time, with governmental corruption probably even longer than that. However, it is a global issue that drastically needs to be addressed, and thankfully the United Kingdom stepped up and hosted the 2016 International Corruption Summit, which saw 43 states in attendance as well as 6 non-governmental organizations. Now, during the course of the summit, these 43 states and 6 NGOs contributed individual pledges to combat corruption domestically as well as internationally. And these individual pledges totaled 648. Now, one such NGO in attendance was Transparency International, which is well known in the anti-corruption world. They decided to track some of these pledges in some of the larger states. And sadly, the United States has completed only 5% of its pledges to date. Now, Transparency International also publishes an annual report titled the Corruption Perception Index, and this rates 148 states on their perceived corruption on a scale of 0 to 100, 0 being most corrupted, 100 being least corrupted. Of these 148 states, the global average was a paltry 43. Thankfully, the United States came in the top 20. However, as the world leader in freedom and democracy, coming in at 17 with a rating of 76 should just not cut it. Now, one such reason the United States is rated so low could likely be contributed to the fact that they have legalized some forms of corruption, most notably in political lobbying, where corporations and businesses pay for legislative action in their favor, either speeding a bill through or killing a bill in their favor. This has led to U.S. citizens consecutively rating big businesses and Congress low on the trust factor in their annual Gallup polls. Now, the U.S. does have a foreign and a domestic corruption policy. The U.S. Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, the FCPA of 1977, is the most widely used and enforced anti-corruption law to date. However, Senator Ben Cardin of Maryland decided to revitalize this, titling it the Combating Global Corruption Act of 2017, also known as the Cardin Act. Now, the Cardin Act is still in the introductory phase, and as such, there's been noted some issues with it. Most notably, the fact that it does not differentiate between petty corruption or individual corruption, as well as large-scale or state corruption. Additionally, it uses the name and shame tactic, which has had mixed results, namely due to the fact that it could name and shame an individual and see them penalized, whereas the larger organization is rather unscathed and can continue its operations. Additionally, the U.S. domestic policies saw the Judiciary Committee noted that 20,000 individuals have been convicted of corrupt practices, as well as another 5,000 awaiting trial. Now, the U.S. is a beacon of light in many aspects, but in regards to corruption, there is much for the U.S. to learn. And it can learn from other states that have better policies and a better overall anti-corruption methodology. Now, one such country is surprisingly China, which is rated 40 on Transparency International's index. And this is due to the fact that President Xi Jinping, upon assuming the office in 2012, enacted his anti-corruption law. Now, previously in China, it was commonplace to give lavish gifts for legislative benefits. But President Jinping, enacting his anti-corruption law, has seen 1.5 million individuals, officials, detained, identified, detained, and/or executed. Many see this as a way for him to consolidate power, but regardless of this fact, these anti-corruption policies have yielded some fruitful results. Now, another country to look at is Singapore, where it has a top-down approach similar to the U.S. However, Singapore fosters and promotes education at the top echelons in government office, as well as strict punishments for all as far as corruption. And this has led to Singapore being rated 7 in the 2016 index, as well as being consecutively in the top 10. Now, the U.S. needs to combat corruption sooner rather than later, if it allows to fester, it will only continue to grow. And this begs the question of, with U.S. legalizing lobbying, is corruption becoming more commonplace? And if so, more needs to be done to look into it and to combat it. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, please see me after.